The three finalists have been announced for this year's Vezina Trophy for top goaltender in the NHL. I want to discuss the nominees and tell you who I think is going to win. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So we're into that time of year now where the NHL Award finalists are starting to slowly be announced here. So over the next coming days, we're going to gradually find out who the finalists are for all the NHL Awards based on regular season play. The first one to come out is the Vezina Trophy finalists. Now we did a video back about 3 or 4 weeks ago discussing who we thought were the top 5 goalies for the regular season and who would be most likely would be the finalists. And all 3 guys that are mentioned here as finalists were in that video, as well as a couple of others. So let's take a look at how each goaltender fared this season, look at their numbers, and I'll give you my thoughts on who I think should be the winner. So obviously the 3 finalists are Tampa Bay Lightning's Andrei Vasilevski, Nashville Predators goaltender Pekka Rinne, and Winnipeg Jets goalie Connor Hellebuyck. Now obviously all 3 of them had tremendous seasons, and it'd be tough to argue against any of them really walking away with this trophy. They all had great seasons for slightly different reasons, but let's dive into their underlying numbers here, and I'll give you my thoughts on each goalie and like I said, who I think is going to walk away with the hardware. So let's get started here. Tampa Bay Lightning's Andrei Vasilevski finished the season with 44 victories, a .919 save percentage, and a goals against average of 2.62. Now we've got Pekka Rinne, who finished with 42 victories, a .927 save percentage, and a .231 goals against average. Now Connor Hellebuyck of the Winnipeg Jets also had tremendous numbers here. He finished with 44 victories, a .924 save percentage, and a 2.36 goals against average. Now, if you compare the numbers amongst this group of 3 goalies, obviously Hellebuyck and Rinne's goals against average were a fair bit lower than Vasilevski's, and they also had better save percentages. Where in the win column, Vasilevski and Hellebuyck had more than Rinne, but only by a couple. So at the end of the day here, I think when it comes to the wins, I mean, you got Hellebuyck and Vasilevski with 44, Rinne with 42. You can pretty well say that they're pretty well all tied. There's not much difference there. They all played on pretty solid teams. Their teams all had tremendous success this year. So there's not a lot of difference there to really distinguish them. But if you take a look at the save percentage and the goals against average, Andrei Vasilevski is 3rd in both of those categories. And if you take a look at the fact that, you know, they were all on solid teams, they all had pretty good defense cores, and they all had tremendous forward groups on those teams. I personally think the only one I can say for sure that probably will not win is Vasilevski here. If you look at the fact that Rinne and Hellebuyck both have better goals against averages, they both have better save percentages, they also both have comparable number of wins. Therefore, I think that the likelihood is that Vasilevski probably finishes 3rd in voting here. Nothing to take away from him. He had a tremendous year for Tampa Bay. But the one thing with the Tampa Bay Lightning, though, they had a tremendous season, a good bounce back year after falling out of the playoffs last year. However, they did not really play the greatest in the second half, and down the stretch leading into the playoffs, they did kind of stumble a bit, and they almost lost the division win to the Boston Bruins. So obviously down the stretch their play wasn't as solid, and Vasilevski's numbers kind of didn't really take a nosedive, but they certainly did not continue at the pace that they were earlier in the season. Early on, it looked like he very well might be the clear-cut winner at early points in the year, but at the same time, the argument was the team in front of him was just so solid. As much as he deserves a lot of credit, if you take another goalie that has comparable stats, maybe on a slightly weaker team, that maybe they get the edge. But at the end of the day here, I think Vasilevski down the stretch just didn't play quite as good. There was some speculation that fatigue was setting in. You know, obviously his first full year as a starter. And not to say that he didn't play well, but his play wasn't as solid down the stretch, which is why I think some of his numbers dipped just enough to kind of still be a finalist, but to fall behind Hellebuyck and Rinne. So if you take a look at the other 2 guys, back when we did the other video talking about the top 5 goalies in the league near the end of the regular season, I personally at that point said if I'm giving out the trophy today, I'm giving it to the Nashville Predators goalie Pekka Rinne. At that point, he was leading and pretty well either tied or leading in almost all the major categories here, including wins, save percentage, shutouts, goals against average, etc. The numbers were just tremendous. Even though they were kind of close with some of these other guys, I picked Rinne to win. If you take a look now, you know, it's still pretty darn close. Connor Hellebuyck has a slight edge on Rinne in wins, but Rinne has a slight edge in goals against average and save percentage. So personally, as much as Connor Hellebuyck's had a tremendous season, I would still stick by what I said a few weeks back, and I would still give the hardware to the Nashville Predators, Pekka Rinne. That's my prediction on who's going to win the Vezina Trophy. Although all three guys had tremendous seasons, they all put up fantastic numbers and all deserve a lot of recognition for sure. So that's my thoughts on who should win the Vezina Trophy. These finalists, obviously we don't have to speculate anymore on who the finalists are. So we will find out in June at the NHL Awards who will walk away with the hardware. So leave some comments down below. Amongst these three finalists, who do you think should win and why? Don't forget as well, we have a 1,000 subscriber giveaway coming up here very shortly. We're climbing our way up to the 1,000 mark, and hopefully we'll be there very shortly where we can give away one of the brand new NHL Adidas hats. We're looking forward to that, so if you're new, consider subscribing. We have lots of great content here for you to enjoy, plus we have that tremendous giveaway coming up here very shortly. If you haven't done so already, consider following us on Twitter. You're going to find our Twitter handle on the screen right here. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and all of our social media links are in the description down below. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.